Ah, there he
Hello
is.
there. How are you?
How are you? Good.
I'm
How
good.
are you?
I had to step outside. The studio was too loud.
Oh, okay, got it. Hey, DJ Magic J, just give me a moment. I'm just saying hello to everybody that's coming in. Um, I'm so excited. First and foremost, I'm grateful for you giving me this time. Me reaching out and saying, "Hey, you could be a part of this," because this is really, literally, just an idea of
Right.
something that I just kind of came up with as I was sitting here, being in quarantine for like 6 months.
Yeah, I know
Let's
how it
see.
goes.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
trying to stay busy.
It's trying to stay busy, exactly, and to be inspired because you can easily lose your mind, when we're
True.
going through so many things at one time. Let's get to it. Let's get started.
Let's do it.
So we are talking to Jay Hatch, aka Mogul Status. I love your name, by the way. That
Thank
is a
you.
really dope name. Yeah, really, really dope name. You are the founder of Mogul Status Media.
Yes.
Um, Also, you have a clothing line, MG. Help me out. It's a
Well,
lot of letters.
it's mobile status without the vowel.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that. That is so dope. You worked with a very good brother of mine.
Yeah. Who's
Oh
that?
my goodness. Focus.
Oh yeah, man. Amazing, amazing person. One of my favorite people on the earth.
Absolutely an amazing person. That was my first client.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Small world.
Yeah, that was my first, yeah, very small world. And I was at the Producer Academy Showcase with Jimi Kendrix.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, he was like, there go J Hatch right there. And I was like, I know, because I knew you by the pictures that were placed on social media. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'll make sure I make my way over there to say hello. So we took a picture that day, and I just been kind of, oh, we got frozen. Let's wait.
But
Are you back?
now,
Uh-uh.
hold on.
Okay. Let's just wait. He got to come back. Technical difficulties. There we go. So how are you guys doing out there? We'll just wait until he comes back. Da, 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 da. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Sandra. It's so many people. It's very difficult for me to say hello to everybody. All right, let's try it again. Woo.
Sorry about that.
You got to
I
come
tried to
back
go back in the
outside.
studio, but the connection is not that great, so I'll stay outside.
It usually isn't, and it's almost like when you're in nature. There's like no Wi-Fi when you're in the
Yeah,
studio.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's okay. So I was at the Producer Academy Showcase with Jimi Kendrix, and
Yeah.
then I seen you in the crowd already before he had mentioned it to me. I was like, oh yeah, I'll make my way to say hello to him. So you were very kind. We took a picture together, and I've been kind of just following, but I've been following you way before I even knew that you were connected with Focus. Like I remember hearing Coast to Coast and I Standard and all
Mhm.
of those things. Like I studied people for a while before I even like put myself in a place where they are, if that's someone that I want to meet. So I definitely am inspired by your work that you have done over the years.
I
And
appreciate it.
I guess we can go ahead and get into it. I'm also inspired by your book.
Thank you so
Right?
much, man.
Yeah, I'm also inspired by your book. First of all, how I left my job
Yeah. I've been
and made it in the music industry. Wow.
luckily I've been self-employed now for almost 20 years in the music industry. Just loving what I do every day. Get a chance to wake up and eat, live, and breathe music and anything revolving around music. So,
Hmm.
the book is kind of a story about how I decided to do it, why I did it, what allowed me to get past it and continue to stay, on this path and how to grow and develop and hopefully, take away some other road bumps for other people who are trying to go down that same, you know, path. Because I think everybody who's a creator would love to leave their job and just be able to do music,
Oh, for
you know,
sure.
every day, all day. And it's not, you know, it's not for everybody because it's a, you know, it takes a lot of sacrifice, struggle, planning, preparing, you know, building a great team. And it's not everybody's equipped for that, but, you know, you use your skill sets in different ways to reinforce the capacity of that you're in. So luckily I
Right.
had a great team around me from day one. And, yeah, I love what I do every day.
That is so awesome. I was reading this and I want to share, I guess, a couple of the names of the chapters, right? I'm not
Sure.
going to like share too much of it. So chapter 1, it says, ask yourself, do I really know what I am doing? For me, if I didn't even open this book, I've read this book. It was a very great, easy read, which I loved. But it was great. It got right to the point. So if I had to ask myself even before looking at this, do I really know what I am doing? When I first, I guess, gave the title of publicist, I honestly didn't even know what the PR thing was. You know, I remember someone in college, when I was in college, I was studying biology and minor in chemistry. And I remember one of the other students, she was studying public relations. And I'm like, what is that? Like, what are you going to do with that? But then Focus, one day we were having a conversation. He said, you're my PR. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, oh, shoot, now it's something I got to go and look up. I need to study this. I don't even know what that is. And so I spent some time, studying it, but I still question myself sometimes like, oh my goodness, am I really good for this? Like, can I actually do this? That's what I got out of reading that. Cause I always read what the chapters are before I go into
Yeah.
the book. So I was like, okay, what if you could share a little bit about like, what is that? Do I really know what I'm doing?
Well, it's twofold, right? So I felt like when I left my job, I had to get that cosign from Ma Dukes. You know, I had to get that, like, you're good enough to do this kind of thing. I knew I was, but at the same time, there's no manual, for music. There's no like, okay, this is how you get to be successful in the music industry. Like, there's no step-by-step process. There's skills, there's work ethic, obviously, but there's no like, if you do these 5 things, you'll be successful. So when I asked myself, like, do I really want to leave a 6-figure job? Do I really want to leave the stability, the benefits, the structure? Like, do I really want to do this? Am I even capable of doing so? Am I
All those
ready for it?
questions.
So with all that, and it was also just, from being in a specific business for so long and building so many accolades with my previous employer, I had to ask myself, like, am I stupid? Like, do I just want more, or like, am I dumb, or like, even to the effect of, am I willing to take this type of jump right now in my life? But I don't have kids. I didn't have kids then. I don't have kids now. I wasn't married. I didn't have a big mortgage or debt, so I said, at the time, this is the time. This is what it is. And I feel like if I didn't do it right then and there, that it wasn't going to happen. So I was literally at a crossroads. So that's kind of why I had to even ask that question.
The what ifs. And I think a lot of times people do the what ifs when they're even trying to step into something new, something that they don't even know about, the uncertainty of everything. They start asking the what ifs. And because they start asking those questions, it's either you're going to face it or you're going to let it like paralyze you and you don't even take that step.
Right.
So I definitely salute you for taking that step, because look what has happened since you've taken that step. Can you imagine, like, even with these conversations, I'm thinking to myself, like, if I would have questioned this once and didn't do it, all of those people who needed to see you, who needed to see, shout out to Davion Botts, he's on here. He's a 3-time Grammy nominated producer. He's in Texas. He's amazing. But maybe someone needed to hear his story, not just necessarily, I did just put the plug, but not just necessarily like what he do, but what he stands for. Him as being a father, him being a great entrepreneur, him being a risk taker, all of those other things that people can benefit from the conversation and just collaboration. So we're 13 conversations in now. This is so cool.
That's dope.
Right. So we gotta it's okay to analyze, because I'm always analyzing certain things, but I also go ahead and take that step, even if I don't know what it's gonna look like as I'm going through. Because a lot of times that's a crazy thing too. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Right.
The next one, chapter 2.
Fun part.
That's the fun part,
Right.
right? And it's so difficult to say hello to everybody. Hello, hey, Miriam, what's up? I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much. Chapter 2, always see your end result. For me, I feel like I'm always 10 years ahead of wherever I am anyway in life. I remember at that showcase, you had mentioned something about so many things are going away. Right? Like you guys need to be prepared. And a lot of times people don't see that. Like I remember telling clients years ago, 10 years ago, like, hey, I need you to start, posting content more. I need you to start speaking out a little bit more. Things that whatever it is, like you need to
Right.
do that. They couldn't see it. So I just think I love the title of that, always see your end result, because I think you already have to be there before you even get there. You want to elaborate a little bit on it?
Yeah, I mean, people that do know me know I do a lot of events and I do a lot of content. So for me, it's always about closing my eyes and imagining what it is like if I'm the attendee to a seminar. Like when I walk up to the front desk, like, what do I want to see? What are the colors? Where's the signage? And then, I go like super deep into that, but then I also walk myself back because it's almost like leaving a breadcrumb trail. Like you can't become a restaurant owner just because you're a great chef. You need to
Mm-hmm.
know about hospitality. You need to know who your competition in the area is. You need to know if anybody's used that name before. So a lot of it's about like
Yeah.
thinking about the end result and walking it back so you can say, okay, I know what it needs to look like, and these are the steps, and now I can start from square one and get there, which is not easy for a lot of people because people sometimes don't see that far. They
Mm-hmm.
just see like, okay, I want to do this. I'm good at something, but I don't even know the full story. Just like you said, like we were lucky. Like I didn't know I was going to be who I am today. I mean, obviously I would always love to be more, and I always feel like, we're always where we're supposed to be because we have a plan if we continue to be consistent. But like,
Yeah.
who knew that we would be who we are? So you don't think that far ahead, but it's all about setting short-term goals, some long-term goals, but also making sure that you don't allow yourself to not fail because you have to fail in order to succeed.
Oh
Like
no, you got to feel forward, going
nobody in the
forward though.
history of ever has ever not failed to succeed. So I like to fail. You get a lot of learning experience in failing. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
I've definitely failed at quite a bit of things, but it only made me stronger.
right.
I actually thank God for those failures. I'm like, thank you. I'm glad that didn't work out. Or I'm glad that they showed me who they were, because if they hadn't, I would have ended up XYZ. So that is definitely important. Thank you so much for chiming in. And you guys that just came on, we just dive right into it. We are talking about Jay Hatch book. It's on Amazon. It's very easy, great read. There's even questions to ask yourself in here, which I think is really dope. I'm always reevaluating where I'm at and where I want to go. Have I made any progress? What areas all those questions I ask myself. So this is so nice. And it's for anybody. I mean, it says how I left my job and made it in the music industry, but I think that this read is for everybody.
Absolutely.
My personal opinion. I need to add a review to your
Hey,
to your
please.
book. But I wanted to wait though. I wanted to wait until after I read it and then add the review, because then it wouldn't be genuine. I'd be like, oh, that sounds great, just going by the title and
Right.
not actually opening into it and looking into your world a little bit. There's this question that I always ask myself, perseverance. Was there ever a situation in your life where you felt like, I there's I don't know how I'm gonna pull myself out of this. I don't see no way through this. How did I get here?
Yeah. That's like the ultimate entrepreneur question. Like we go through this almost daily at some point. So when I first left my job, like I was making a lot of money, a lot. And, I had some money saved. I had a stock option. I made some investments to get some, residual income coming in while I figured out. Because when I left my job, I really didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I just knew I wanted to be in music. I had an
Right.
artist, I had some producers, but I didn't have a goal. So, it made me really kind of level up at one point, and I had to look at things. Like I had 2 cars get repossessed. I had, my father passed away. You know, all these different things that happened in a short period of time, and I had to like really look at myself like, you know, A, can I do this? B, do I want to do this? And C, am I built for this? But the reality of it is that, you know, you get stronger with every, you know, with everything that happens, whether it be good or bad. It's just a matter of how you absorb it and adapt to it. And I'm just somebody who happens to know that I can learn from an experience that's not as positive because I can find the positive in it. You know, like my father was always somebody who said, like, you know, I could have, I should have, I would have, you know, but he had a family, you know, and my mother was even somebody who was willing to do a second or third job just so he could follow his passion. But my father was a very like laid back guy, super talented, but just never like jumped on it. So I just made it my self personal goal as a paying homage to him that I would never, no matter what, allow myself to be the coulda, woulda, shoulda guy. You know what I mean? You know, my father always provided. He was always there, you know, but he never got a chance to really follow his personal goals. And that's something that I would never allow myself to do or allow my children to not do. So, you know, those were all things. But, you know, I asked myself when that first car got repossessed because I couldn't afford it, you know, I was like, you know, do I really need a car right now? You know, and then after the tow truck turned the corner, I was like, you know what? It's just a car. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's
I'm gonna have, if I work as hard as I do, I'm gonna have 10 cars, and that's not even the goal. You know what I mean? But cars is not gonna stop me, help me, or hurt me. You know what I'm saying? So those were some of the things, and you know, obviously sometimes money is a challenge, especially at first, because people don't realize, you know, for a successful business, it takes 3 to 5 years to become profitable. You know, and I've never was somebody who went backwards ever. You know what I mean? I always made sure that whatever I put my mind to, I went forward, burned my boat every time I got to a specific goal. And then as I traveled along to my next goal, I built better boats. You know, I found the right materials. I found the right people. I went through the right experiences. So by the time I got to the next launch pad to go to the next goal, I had more firepower. You know what I mean? So not everybody knows how to do that. It takes somebody who's super focused and has aspirations so big that it makes people laugh. And you know, we definitely go through those things on a daily basis.
Oh man,
especially now. Look at what's going on now between a president, you know, the pandemic, the social injustices, you know, the corruption, the firefight, the forest fires.
It's so much stuff going on. People's
like
houses are on fire.
You gotta be
kids being killed. You gotta be super focused. That gotta be like a superpower. Like you gotta like activate it. Yeah. You gotta go in the booth like Clark Kent and put on your cape and everything and be ready. I think first and foremost is the psychological warfare of it all. You know what I mean? Like keeping your mind. That's my thing. That's the whole reason of these conversations is I think that I can sit here and talk about, you know, all of the social injustice. I can definitely talk about Black Lives Matter. I can talk about the stimulus check that may or may not come. I can talk about so many different things, you know, and other pointless stuff. But am I really being a benefit for our people? I think the beautiful thing for me is that I didn't come from a background of music, as a lot of my friends have, and business counterparts in this business. Some of them have been very fortunate to have both parents, which I think is a beautiful thing, that such as you, but having both parents and having a financial, you know, leverage, so to speak. I didn't have that. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being different. I'm okay with being in my own lane and being who I am. A lot of people aren't comfortable with who they are. They don't know who they are. They don't even know what they should be doing, where they should be going. They're not being intentional. I was telling my son today, I have a 13-year-old son, and I was telling him today that you're just literally letting the time go by, just letting it go. I watched my grandmother raised me, and she could not read. She was illiterate. And I said to myself that I'm for her, just as you did for your father, for her. I'm going to make sure I go and get my education. I'm going to make sure that I do things that I didn't see growing up. I want to just go against all odds. but it definitely is more complicated sometimes. I feel like for those who didn't come from certain advantages, it seems as if, and this could just be my perception, that you got to work a little bit harder, even harder to get it. I don't know. That could be for anybody, but I'm speaking on
Yeah,
my experience.
absolutely. I mean, I think it's a for somebody who may come from less or humble beginnings to
Hmm.
get to the level that people do get to. It just plays back to that person's perseverance and ability to stay focused. I know a lot of
Yeah,
people in the last 6 months that had great businesses prior, but have not figured out how to adjust in this environment. And I left my own company back in March. I left iStandard and I started a new brand. And since then, I've built like 4 websites. I've never built a website in my life. I'm writing a second book. I manage 2 incredible clients. I'm a partner at a major studio in New York. I started 2 other brands in a clothing line. So I have my Mogul Status here.
yes, I love that. That's nice.
So I was able to not only stay, but adapt to changes, and I think it puts a lot of pressure on people because they're expected to continue that business. But at the same time, everybody goes through these things differently. Like, I know people who were
Everybody.
super strong when this first started, and
Uh-huh.
now they're just like, they don't even know where to find the next dollar. And it's really disheartening, but at the same time, it's so real. I think a lot of people are going through some of the worst times in their lives right now, and you were putting enough pressure on them as it is to
Mhm.
deal with all the BS in the world, and now all of a sudden you have to worry about where your next dollar is going to come from or how you're going to come out of this on the other side. So you got to get a little creative, and I think luckily I've been able to find ways to still be relevant, still motivate my creators that follow me. I've built my fan base even more, and I just found ways to continue to grow, and develop, so that way I wouldn't have to worry about going backwards per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that I think, and this is my opinion, to think about where am I going to get my next dollar from instead of taking a moment and seeing what this lesson is trying to teach you and finding an idea. And I'm saying from experience, way before this COVID, I've had situations where I've had to sleep at somebody's house or I had to roommate with someone with my children, and I didn't want to do that, but that was my situation. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yep.
But the idea got me out of that situation. I could sit all day and talk about where am I going to get my next dollar from, or I can just figure out what am I going to do? I need this idea so that it can take me, somewhere else and get me out of this. And that's the point also of these conversations. I put a press release out for this and I titled it Crisis is for Creativity. I think this is the time, not, yes, feel your feelings because they're legit for sure. But now we need to start thinking about how we're going to thrive through this, not just survive, but actually thrive through it. And I
Right.
really believe that. Like, that's amazing. I just finished actually writing a book. I have a couple of deals that are, up and coming, and I just signed one. So I think there's some things working out even during this rough time. And I want to be that voice to say, hey, let's do this. We could do this. We got to pray our way through this. We got to
Right.
meditate our way through this. We got to sometimes be okay with just being quiet. It's amazing how many people have probably prayed for this day to spend more time with their family. I've never seen so many people outside on bikes. I've
Right.
never seen so many people outside exercising and actually enjoying
The
the
game
things that
changed a
are
little bit.
around us, right?
Yeah.
We cannot control the external events. What is going on out there is already happening. But we can control this. We can control, the thoughts that we're thinking, the choices that we're making. I can sit here and spend 24 hours complaining and get absolutely nowhere. How we're going to determine our outcome of this is what we do during this time. Learn a new language, love on
Yep.
your kids a little more, love on yourself a little more. Obviously, this time it showed a lot of broken people. You know what I mean? A lot of broken people, because we get to escape to the bars, we get to escape to the clubs, and we get to escape to so many places, but we don't actually sit with ourselves. And I
Right.
think that this time is showing us that, it's showing you, it's showing who you are. So I don't know. I got my, I hear that, a lot of my friends are upset because they can't perform right now. And I often think, like, do we ever prepare ourselves for an upcoming disaster, or are we just living for today and not even prepping for tomorrow? I lived in a, poverty stricken neighborhood. So we were always prepping. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Well, you know what it
Help
is.
me.
I think now more than ever, people, they have to understand how important. Like, there's no such thing as normal anymore. Like the normalcy can be deleted at any given time. When you get quarantined to a specific location for 3 months, like you just know, like, there's no, you can't move, you can't go to the store anymore. They took away your freedom, but end of the day, it's for the betterment of the health of the people in the world. So you have to figure out how to make things seem more normal. And I
Right.
think spending time with family and friends that are inside your bubble is a great thing. I think being creative is great. Most of these creatives are introverts as it is, so if you're a producer or a songwriter, like, they're already home
That's so
all the
true.
time. So it hasn't really affected them. Anything, it's helped them, in general. But at the same time, we just have to realize how to live with what's going on in terms of day to day. Like, now that I kind of came into this studio operation situation, like, we're one of the few places that really make sure everything is where it needs to be before we walk in the room. We're focusing on cleaning and COVID friendly, and everybody here is always here, so it's a little bit more of a herd immunity kind of thing. So it's just, this is the new normal. You know what I mean?
This is the new norm.
Keys, wallet, phone, mask, hand sanitizer. You know what I mean?
The mask. Man, the mask. I wear it because I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, there's a bunch of theories and
Right.
all this other stuff that's going on, and I wear it. I'm going to try to protect myself as much as I can. I really only go out to the store, to eat or whatever. But I did take 2 trips to Rhode Island. That was pretty nice
Okay.
because it's not a lot of people outside. So it's like you get to enjoy the walk. You get to enjoy walking through the streets and taking the pictures and trying some new foods and taking a breather and saying, okay, this is what I'm in. So let me figure out a way of how I'm going to deal with this because I
Right.
can't change it. That's my point, is that I want people to know is that you can't change it. It's external event. It's happening. So what are you going to do now for you? Like, what decisions are you going to be making? Like, are you going to now ask those questions? Who am I? Where am I going? Am I living my life as I want to, or am I living it as others expect me to? Is this a time where maybe the business that I thought, was working, now it's time to, transform and do a little bit something different? So it's so many questions, but one thing is that make a few goals, write them down, and accomplish something each day, right? Accomplish something each day. Magic Johnson has this quote, and I absolutely love it, and I write it on my board: always be ready to adapt and adjust. And I think this is one of those times where you can really pull that quote out and say, yeah, he right.
Right.
Always be ready to adapt and adjust, because that's all you can do. Now I'm sitting here. I thought that I was going to be out. I had all those plans on my calendar booked for the entire year. I
Yeah.
was ready to travel the world. And yeah, it all got canceled.
Yeah. I know how you feel. I had to push
I was
back all
ready.
my LA, Dallas, Miami, Atlanta, all my events that I had planned on my song camps. I had to push back for probably now till maybe October. So, things were good at one point, but all of a sudden now New York is like the only really good place left. So, but we'll get to that. And I mean, honestly, the safety side of it is that much more important. And
Right.
everybody could always use a little downtime anyway, just to kind of reset. So, for me, I've been focusing on me. I've been focusing on health. I've been focusing on figuring out what's next. Figuring out the people I want to have around me. Really kind of
Mm-hmm.
figuring out better protocols, processes. I always feel like we're in this, like, hamster wheel sometimes, where it's just every day we're kind of going around and around and around, trying to figure it out. You got to jump off that wheel every once
Yeah.
in a while. You know what I mean? So right now I feel like I'm in the cage, but I'm off the wheel. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was thinking in 2000, if you think back on history, in 2009 there was a major decline in corporations and the labels and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And so right now, where do you think the industry is going?
Well, I mean, everything is very much DIY, like do it yourself. You have all these, distribution platforms. You have, streaming platforms. You have YouTube. You have ways to monetize music without needing a label. The
Mm-hmm.
reality of it is that you should be able to do everything that you expect the label to do first for yourself. And now everybody's on the same playing field. You can't go out and perform. You can't, go do a tour right now. Not a big one anyway, but you have this
No,
amazing platform called Instagram and, LinkedIn that has different opportunities and,
I love
Facebook.
LinkedIn.
So yeah, all these different places for you to get money. People are doing features. People are doing living room concerts. People are doing, interviews. I mean, they got to keep themselves busy, but they also have to make some money too. So I think music is really about to be on the same playing field, and everybody has to figure out a way creatively to make some money. You look at
Mm-hmm.
things like OnlyFans, right? Like the OnlyFans, like Cardi B just got on OnlyFans. You can only imagine how much money she's gonna start making off of that alone.
Oh, a lot.
Like come on.
Yeah, I thought that's a pretty dope idea. That's adapting and
Yeah,
adjusting.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you know what? She's giving it away for free on Instagram for the last 3 or 4 years. Imagine if she gets 1 million followers, or she's probably at 100 million now. Imagine she gets 80 million followers on OnlyFans. It's paying her $5 a month.
But she pay her dues though. You think about it. A lot of times when we start this thing, because I started this with absolutely not making any money.
Yeah.
It was just, I wanted to learn the business. I wanted to network. I wanted to see what this thing was that I was getting myself into. So you put in a lot of time. Sometimes you thought you were going to get paid and you didn't get paid. All of those situations, right? So when you get to that point where you branded yourself to the point where I always tell some of my clients that the goal is to be a walking brand. Like when you walk in the room, you know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
piece of paper is like putting out there's some deals that are on the table possibly just because you put in that work. So kudos to her because I think that's pretty dope.
Oh no, branding is like key
Everything.
work. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always felt like I had to be a brand before I made a brand. Like I was always Jay Hatch, no matter who I work with or what company I ever started. Like, you know, yeah, I'm Jay Hatch for my standard, but I'm also Jay Hatch. I could step away from that and not be so attached to it, but people still know my affiliations. A lot of times people do it, they'll go be an A&R at a record label, but as soon as they leave that record label, they're plain. You know what I mean? Like you want to build this brand, and that's why I started the clothing line. That's why I started the book. That's why I started the events, because it's all somehow cohesive enough so people can follow along and play along and see where they fit in. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I've been able to be blessed, and I used to work for Bad Boy years ago, and I really learned a lot from Puff because Puff was always a walking brand, no matter wherever he went. As long as you saw the Bad Boy logo and you heard people chanting the Bad Boy name, like you
You
want to be
already know.
synonymous with an era of music or a specific genre of music. It doesn't get much better than Puff Daddy or Bad Boy. You know what I mean? He's Puff
That's
and
true.
he's Bad Boy, so you just already know.
That's true. And it was like different locations where they had Ciroc Boy East and West and
Yeah,
South. I had a friend that was doing that for a little while, and I was like, wow, this guy is a genius. Like it was literally like they were set up in groups
right.
and his promo is amazing. A couple years ago when I was in Harlem, I did a video with a guy by the name of Role Model, and he did something on GDEP. I didn't necessarily know his story, but they just wanted me to, I guess, to kind of give my feedback. My only thing with that is when you're giving your opinions about other people's lives, I feel like somehow now I found myself judging someone, and I would never want to do that.
Right.
I always want to send love. We we are not perfect beings. You know what I mean? Like we're not perfect beings.
Nah.
Even though sometimes when you find yourself in certain platforms, people start to look at you as such. Like you're not supposed to make mistakes, or you don't go through things, or people are not supposed to die. Like it's like you almost, the people literally look at you like you're superhuman. That is
Right.
amazing to me. Um, Chapter 3. We're talking about your book, How I Left My Job and Made It in the Music Industry, because I still see people chiming in. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I do crazy promo, so I hope we did good on that. educate yourself. I think we did talk a little bit about that, how important that is. Even for music, for me, I started to study even more about music history. I learned how to read the music myself. I taught myself how to do that. I taught myself how to play the keyboard. And not necessarily because I wanted to get on stage or get in the studio and play the keyboard. I needed to understand what it was that I was a part of, what I was marketing, understanding other people's roles and positions, because may need to network with them somewhere down the line where we can both be a benefit to each other. All of those things. So that's important. What would you say? You need something to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, you can only go as far as you're educated to be. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't know how to do it. What I would say about that too is just like people need to know, no matter how big they get in the game, no matter how many accomplishments they get, you need to learn something
Stay
new all the
humble.
time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like learning is key, no matter how big you get in the game.
And staying humble, I think that's a really big thing. I absolutely love those who stay humble. I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, teach me more. I want to learn more. I'm forever a student. Chapter 4, leaving the nest. We talked about that. You shared the story about that, so you don't need
Yeah.
to. I'm just sharing these titles because the titles is everything. It's like when you used to open up the old albums and you
Yeah.
would read on
Credits.
the back, or you look at so that's what this is right here. Chapter 5, I'm gonna stop at that one. Do not have a plan B.
Yeah.
No, I can't be like start this and then say, but if this don't work.
No, that's the worst thing you could ever do. Is because what happens is you're giving yourself a side door out. You know what I mean? Like, well, if this doesn't work, I'll go do this. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a broader mindset of what you want to do, right? So, for instance, I used to rap when I was back in the day. I used to be signed to Slick Rick's DJ when I was like 17, 18 years old as a
I
rapper.
have seen that. Yeah.
So, I was a good one, but he went through this midlife crisis and things happened, and then I went back to work. So I left music to go back to work, and then 8 years later, I left my job for good. When I came back on the business creative side, not the creator, writer, rapper side. So I told myself, I said, I'm never going to not do music, so that's a very broad statement. You never know where it's going to take you. I want to be, a media mogul. I want to own my own, line of clothing. I want to do all these different things. So there's a straight path to, there's a more straight path of knowing you're going to go up than there is of where you're going to go. So when I say no plan B, I'm like, don't ever turn back. Don't ever idle in the water for too long. Like, always just try to creep forward little by little. If you need to just figure things out, it's cool, but always go forward. But don't say like, oh man, I want to be I want to be a songwriter and I want to be a producer, but if I don't make it in 5 years, I'm gonna go back and work for McDonald's. Like believe enough in yourself to put everything in yourself to be the best you can possibly be. Because you're never gonna feel a sense of accomplishment in this music game. Never. Because every time you get to a certain level, it's like, okay, take a deep breath. What's next? It's always about what's next. You know what I mean? So
that's so true.
Don't ever sell yourself short, ever.
That is so true. I was the one behind the scenes for a while. I absolutely loved being behind the scenes. I wasn't ready to like come out. I mean, I didn't do no red carpets. I wasn't that kind of PR where I was doing the events and red carpets or any of that. I was literally behind the scenes. I was writing speeches for people in Washington, D.C. I was doing press releases for the major labels, for the publicists that work for the major labels. I was writing literally their press releases, but my name was not on it at all. Yeah, I mean, from Beverly Hills to New York City. And I'm grateful for those experiences. But I got to a point where I was like, wow, what's next? What am I supposed to be doing? Focus mentioned, you got to get out there, Slim. That's what I used to go by, Miss Slim. And then I rebranded my government name, Sherontelle. So he said, I got to get out there. So I said, okay, all right, let me try this thing. So I went on TV, right? I sent a pitch. I didn't know that they were going to say yes. And I went on TV and the rest is history. So I've made several appearances on Dr. Oz, I think maybe 5 or 6 or something like that. The last one I did was with Bishop Jakes, and we were talking about how to soar, because there were some things that was holding me back for fear. And then I made an appearance with Steve Harvey, which was really dope because I'm from Cleveland. So I was able to, be graced to have a conversation with him and talk about his brother going to the same high school that I went to, him living like literally 10 blocks. That just let me know, like, different than me. I could do this
Right.
too.
Why not?
I could do this too. Then Rachel Ray and all of those things. And then you're absolutely right to get to the point where it's like, yep, I made the national network, the television and all of those things. But what's next and what should I be doing? I think that, you set these missions. That's what I do. I have these missions that I do, these goals. And then I accomplish them. But I think it's a forever mission. I don't think that you ever end it until I could say your last breath, but I think that if your idea is big enough, that carries on way past you here in a physical sense. I think it's so important to find out what one should be doing and stop wasting time.
Right.
We were wasting too much time complaining, posting, laughing at others, making fun of others, just putting our time into so many things that are not being beneficial. The news, for one, I'm overwhelmed with all of that.
Oh yeah.
Like, you're going to find out whatever you need to find out, even if I don't hardly ever watch TV. And I still find out what's going on, even without watching it. Bad news always travel. I don't need to fill my mind with that. What does your day look like before you start any business, before you check that email or anything? How do you start your day?
For me, it's about just getting my mind clear in the morning. I work late and I wake up early. So even though I'm not really a morning person, I like to just take my time getting up. I do a little stretch routine first thing in the morning. Then I'll just maybe eat a light breakfast, and then I just kind of start going through my emails, my texts, my social media inquiries, and I give myself about an hour. Then I'll shower, get ready, or I might work out. Depends on what kind of day it is. But I've been getting to the studio a lot earlier now because I'm have a lot of responsibility here now. But for me, it's really just that first thing is about clarity and making sure I'm ready for the day. I'll relook at my list, my schedule, make sure that things are in line. Maybe I might move a call or move a session or something if I need something, because I really base everything I do on urgency versus importance. And it's more about like what's feasible to get done, what's urgent to the bottom line of my business, and then I'm super organized with the rest of it. So okay, if
That's
I
in
can't
your
get it done
book.
today, yeah. So if I can't get it done today, I'll get it done tomorrow, because it's still got to get done, but it's not like as urgent as this maybe money-making opportunity or this session or this call or whatever. So, it's like, all right, so do you go to this session with Rick Ross or do I organize my iTunes? You know what I mean? Like, both are very important, but I'm trying to get that check. You know what I'm saying?
So right.
Yeah.
It's always about prioritizing.
Right.
In my past, I worked as an EMT for 15 years.
Okay.
I probably have put more people in body bags than I've written press releases.
Wow.
And that's the honest to God truth. I worked in New York City. I worked in Cleveland, Ohio, most of my career. And when I think about those days and when I've been in the room when the doctor says time of death so many times, right? And when I think about that, it's worth the sacrifice that I've made up to this point of being in business for over 10 years. It was worth the tears. It was worth all the pain, all of those things to get to this point, to have people say like, you inspire me, or I didn't give up because I just seen what you were doing.
Right.
I realized, I had a life coach a couple years ago, and he said to me, it's not even about you. It's not even about you. And when you start looking at it that way, it takes a whole big weight off of your shoulder, because sometimes, and that, with us going through this pandemic, people are in their homes and they're like dealing with so many issues. They don't know where they're going to live.
Right.
First and foremost, I think that there's like 28 million people in the United States, or I don't know whether it was in the world or United States. I don't know how the title went, but 28 million people being evicted. That's a lot of people.
It's potentially 43 million in the
Or is it
United
more?
States. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's like worldwide. That's a big number.
It's a big number.
That's a really big number.
It's not like everybody else is just going to take those take those apartments. You know, you're putting people out in the street for no reason at this point. You know what I mean?
They didn't want to be, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't ask for the pandemic to happen. Like, that's terrible. That is awful.
That all comes from the top, though. Like, look at who we got at the top of the totem pole. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all comes down from the clown down.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Sad life, unfortunately. But you know, we hope for better situations in the near future. And
for sure,
it really does. You know, it's not always about you, but it comes down to you being, like, you know, such a rock for whatever it is that you do believe in or do stand for. Like, I always try to help people. You know, I always try to make sure that if I have something to give, you know, if the person's unique and they're in need of something, I try to be there. I just feel like that you get more back from that than you do complaining about something or not taking an action. You know what I'm saying? So just to make other people feel good or help out and hope that they appreciate it as much as you might if they did it for you, that's really where the strength of, you know, togetherness and all that structure comes from. Because in today's day, we all need a little help in some way, whether it's a conversation, a hug, shoulder to cry on, you know what I'm saying? Somebody to yell at, whatever.
Let me tell you, these hours are very beneficial, I'm sure, to some people, but it's definitely beneficial to me because I wanted to come out. Like, I was, right before this happened, I just went to California for Oscar weekend. I co-hosted with Hot Boy Turk in Kansas, and then I went home to Cleveland. You know what I mean? And then that was it. I really haven't been on the plane. I'm sure you have, though.
No, not since February.
You haven't? Oh, that's
wow!
Shut up! Seriously?
I probably would have been on about 30 flights in the last 6 months, if not more.
No, I am shocked.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is crazy. This hour goes by so fast. So I want to end it with something. It really does, right? That's crazy, especially, I guess, when you're talking about something cool. Hey, Glamille. Hey, Meech the Shredder. I'm trying to say hello. It's really difficult. Do you see anybody on here? You know, hey, what's up?
I got some fans on here, but I think they're bots. I don't think they're real people.
Oh, that's what it is.
Somebody said I was.
Oh yeah, they always come to the party.
I'm like, yeah, why? Appreciate it.
We was talking about that the other day. I was like, they always come to the party. She was like, and they ask you for coffee. I'm like, no, they always come. They come even when I post.
It's probably a hashtag related bot, like something you post.
Oh yeah, I use hashtag. Oh, I'm a hashtag queen.
There you go.
Hashtag success, hashtag happiness, hashtag good day, great day, Instagrammers, all of that, entertainment manager, whatever is associated to whatever is going on at that moment, I'm hashtagging because it does help with the SEO and all of that. So it has a purpose. Like, oh no, it's some real wins. They're like, hey, they give it nice. Okay, yep, Miriam, look, she real. It's a few. Nice. They get a shout out, Mr. Dope Status. Is that what it is? Oh yeah. Okay, let's start with this. In chapter 4, I'm going to end with this. This is the last part. I know that you already spoke about how you left the nest, but I want to share a part of the chapter. It's not easy to leave your job, because we're going to end with this so we can try to inspire those who may be in a situation where they want to leave, but they're just not sure, or they want to start a new business, but they don't think that they can. Right. So I just want to leave them with some inspiration. It's not easy to leave your job. I mean, you get a check at the end of the week. Now you have to chase one daily. This isn't for the weak-hearted. It's not for the hope to get rich crowd. It's definitely not for the dreamers. You need to come down to earth and realize you will have to struggle, sacrifice, and scratch for every penny at first. You will have to make tough decisions, and you will probably have to give up some luxuries, lose some sleep, invest poorly, and much more. Woo-hoo-hoo. This book right here. You see it? Yes, it's awesome, right? Get it. I'm telling you, it is really, really great. And no, that is not a paid advertisement. It is really a genuine.
That is a genuine.
That is a genuine feedback because we need this. Like, take this time, learn a new language, read a new book. If you haven't picked up his book, and I have been promoting your book on my Facebook page, so I'm sure it's some people on here from Facebook, so they see it. And I'll post it again later as well. But really get this book and let's be inspired and let's create.
Absolutely.
What would you say to someone right now who may be going through something, or they don't really know what they should be doing during this impact of COVID? If you can give some inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, you just have to make sure, mentally, that you're taken care of, that you allow yourself some time for yourself, you not put too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
You just try to find something that allows you to be comfortable in your own skin, but at the same time allow yourself some room to experiment, and try to
Mm-hmm.
find some new ideas and get inspired. Like you were saying, like, reading a lot, surfing the net, listening to different types of music, that one thing that you maybe said you wanted to do for so long, you never had a chance to do it. Now is the time. It's
Now
tough
is
enough
the
as it is
time.
to make sure that you're healthy and, you're making your money and you're paying your bills. All that stuff is difficult as it is. But if there's certain things you cannot affect, right away, then why, sit in it and sulk in it? Find a way to get out of it. And also change your mentality to, from I don't, or I can't, or I won't, to how can, or I need to, just different ways of saying things when you say them out loud. Like, oh man, I need to lose weight. Nah, I'm about to lose this weight. I'm about to start this today. I'm about to, like, it just really is, like, it's really
Yeah.
about, like, self-affirmation and knowing and telling yourself and saying it out loud that you can do it. Well, I don't really have the money to do that. Nah, it should be like, yo, what do I have to do to get this money to make this X amount of things happen, So once you change that mentality, I think you physically and mentally become a little more vision oriented as opposed to, defensive or negative or short tempered even. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I started my business with absolutely nothing.
Same
I
here.
started my business, with an idea, and it just kind of took off from there. So people shouldn't ever hold back and say, "Oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, they won't give me the loan," all of those what ifs. And I don't think I can. So that's some really good advice. What else, I guess, could you say as far as like what do you have going on that's coming up that maybe we can look forward to?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I post everything on my feed for the most part. I do have a website, it's mogulstatusmedia.com. And it kind of is more about what I'm about, what I do, my services, etc. But
Thank
if you
you
want to know
guys.
anything more about my events or any of my master classes or my studio, just follow me on here. I do a lot of my business through Instagram. I am super responsive. I try to get back to everybody ASAP, no matter who you
So
are. So I would just really say follow me at Mogul Status. And then you'll also see some of the other ventures that I have with IMI Studios, my new event, my new venture called the Creator Plug, as well as my clothing line and my new studio situation. So a lot going on, but it's all there, and hopefully you
it's
guys
all
understand.
good.
Yeah,
The word behind me is creativity. I get to
yes,
come downstairs and I get to look at that every single day because some days I don't feel like it. There are always some times where I don't feel like it. I'm like, I just don't want to get up and do this, or I don't feel like checking that email. But I go ahead and do it anyway.
right,
And then afterwards, I'm actually happy that I did, or I'm actually happy that I completed something. It's the same thing with going to the gym. I was a gym head for a long time. And some days I don't want to go to the gym, but then I go ahead and I push myself and I'm
yep,
happy when I start seeing those results. I'm like, "Ooh, I'm glad I didn't give up." That's with life. Persevere, push through. You can create the life that you want. You got to trust the process. I just want to end with this, that I really appreciate. I can't even express to you how much I appreciate you giving me this time, and also the people that support me, because I have a really cool team. Shout out to them. They're on here. It's about 10 of them, 10 good ones. And those on Twitter, there's a lot of people that come from Twitter over. And I just want to appreciate, I just really appreciate your time and your knowledge and your
thank you.
wisdom. One of my friends was saying to me, she left a message and she said, "He's very informative." I said, "I know, because I listened to you at the Producer Academy Showcase and I was just like, I wish I had my notebook You were saying so many, you dropped so many gems and jewels. So I definitely appreciate your time.
I appreciate you taking
I
the
know it was
time out
long.
to
I
read the
appreciate that.
book and also promote the book for me and give me some feedback. So, I love doing these kind of things. I love talking to people. I love giving back some more information because I remember those days where I was watching the panels and, always fun. I couldn't wait to get there to share some of those experiences. And now I'm on the panels. I'm throwing the panels. I'm,
Yeah,
branding with the
it's
panels.
dope.
So it's a great space. I'm blessed to even be here. Not everybody works hard enough to get to a specific point because they don't believe enough in themselves. But
Hmm.
just like you, I bet on myself every day, and the only person in my way is me. So
That's it.
that's it.
That's it. I think Tyrese got a book out. Shout out to Tyrese. I haven't spoken to him in a while. That's my guy. How to Get Out of Your Own Way. And it's like
That's a
just
good
that
one.
title alone is a true statement. Like sometimes we just need to get out of our own way.
100%.
So thank you so much. Salute to you. Much
Anytime.
success.
Thank you.
Continued blessings, and may God continue to keep you and your family in his loving arms. Love,
Thank you.
light, and energy.
And
Peace.
likewise. Peace.